Lewis Hamilton has once again stolen the spotlight with his shocking remarks about Max Verstappen in a radio conversation. The incident has become a hot topic among Formula One fans. What exactly did Hamilton say, and how did Verstappen react? Let's discuss. Ahead of this weekend's Chinese Grand Prix, Ferrari are once again under intense pressure after reports emerged that their simulator produced incorrect data ahead of the race in Melbourne. The error resulted in incorrect ride height settings and an inappropriate choice of rear wing, which affected the car's performance on track. However, Ferrari's problems appear to go deeper than just inaccurate simulator data. Former Haas team principal Gunther Steiner has revealed to F1 Insider that Ferrari principal Fred Vasseur is disappointed with the team's progress over the winter. "I have spoken to Fred Vasseur," said Steiner. "He is a bit disappointed with the progress over the winter. But he also feels that they're getting closer to the performance we want." Former F1 driver Ralf Schumacher is also concerned that Ferrari's failure to compete in the title race for a third consecutive year could jeopardize Vasseur's position with the team. "I am very convinced that if Ferrari does not move towards the World Championship and does not fight for more victories, then the team will take drastic measures," Schumacher told Sky Deutschland. "That would be a shame, because I believe that Fred Vasseur is the right person for this position." In addition to Ferrari, the spotlight is also on Lewis Hamilton, who is still struggling to live up to expectations after his move to Mercedes. At the race in Melbourne, Hamilton seemed to have difficulty adjusting to his new car, which is very different from the one he used before. Gunther Steiner believes the pressure on Hamilton is now even greater. "The honeymoon period is over," said Steiner. "Now he has to give his best and show that he is still competitive." Schumacher also warned that even Hamilton's position at Ferrari cannot be considered secure. "Nobody is really safe at Ferrari," said Schumacher. "And that includes the drivers." With Ferrari and Hamilton facing a number of challenges ahead of the Chinese GP, this weekend will be a major test for both parties as they look to return to winning ways. Meanwhile, Hamilton's relationship with race engineer Riccardo Adami has appeared strained, with former F1 driver turned Sky F1 pundit Martin Brundle criticizing the seven-time world champion for his angry approach. However, Hamilton has hit back, claiming the situation has been blown out of proportion, while accusing the media of keeping quiet about Verstappen and his swearing over the radio at his race engineer, GP. Verstappen and GP are no strangers to team radio spats, but they share a strong bond. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner has previously suggested they are like an old married couple. Speaking ahead of the Chinese Grand Prix, Hamilton said, "Everybody is making a big deal out of it. It was just a bit of small talk. I was very polite. I said, 'Leave it to me.' I didn't say, 'Fuck off.' I didn't swear. I was really struggling with the car at the time, and I needed to focus on some things. We started to get to know each other. He, Adami, has had 2 or more champions in the past, sick, and there was no problem between us. Listening to the radio calls with the others and their engineers, it was much worse. The conversations that Max has had with his engineers over the years and the shit that the poor guy has been treated with, and you never write about that, but you write about the smallest little discussions that I have with my engineers. We just got to know each other. After that, I was like, hey man, I don't need that information. But if you're going to give it to me, this is where I like to do it. This is how I feel in the car, and this is where it's at, when I need information and when I don't need it." That was the whole thing. There were no problems, and it was all done with a smile on my face, and we just kept going. After his Australian GP debut, Hamilton would credit Adami with their first race partnership on record. "I thought Riccardo did a really good job," he said. "We're getting to know each other bit by bit. We just have to. After this we'll download, we'll read all the comments, the things I've said and vice versa. And in general, I'm not the type of person who likes a lot of information in a race. If I don't need it, I ask for it. But he did his best today." However, Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur would highlight communication as an area that needs improvement going forward. "It was the first race, the first time we communicated with the guys in the car," Vasseur said. "We can do better. I think this weekend was quite extreme for many reasons, the fact that the track is not permanent, the fact that the grip changed a lot, the fact that with those conditions, wind and rain, I think it was probably one of the most difficult weekends to manage. For sure it was quite a surprise, but it was not the right weekend for us. Next week we have to learn a lot from this weekend, because we made mistakes. It's not Lewis' problem, it's the team's problem. We have to find a level of communication between the team, the drivers, and the engineers. After a cold, windy, and rainy Grand Prix Sunday in Melbourne, dry and warm conditions are expected throughout the Chinese Grand Prix weekend. However, as Hamilton continues to adjust to life at Ferrari, practice times have been reduced from 3 hours to 1 hour when the F1 sprint format debuts in Shanghai in 2025. Amid the turmoil surrounding Ferrari, Chinese driver Zhou Guanyu has rejoined Scuderia Ferrari as a reserve driver for the 2025 Formula One season. The decision is one of Ferrari's strategic moves ahead of a challenging season, especially with several changes in the driver lineup and increasingly fierce competitive dynamics. Zhou himself is no stranger to Ferrari. He was previously part of the Ferrari Driver Academy from 2015 to 2018, before finally breaking into Formula One with Alfa Romeo in 2022. Zhou spent 3 competitive seasons with the team, competing in a total of 68 Grands Prix and scoring 16 points throughout his Alfa Romeo career. Despite showing promising potential, Zhou lost his main seat at the end of the 2024 season, forcing him to seek other opportunities to stay in the world of land jet racing. Returning to Ferrari as a reserve driver is a new challenge for Zhou, but also a valuable opportunity for him to stay involved in the Formula One environment. In his new role, he will focus on car development through simulator work, testing, and providing the team with vital feedback to improve the car's on-track performance. In addition, Zhou will share duties with Antonio Giovinazzi as a reserve driver, ensuring that Ferrari always has a driver ready to replace if needed. Zhou will also work closely with Ferrari's 2 main drivers, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, who recently joined the team for the 2025 season after leaving Mercedes. As a 7-time world champion, Hamilton brings tremendous experience that can be a source of learning for Zhou as he develops his skills in the world of racing. His presence in the team adds a new dimension to Ferrari's dynamics, and Zhou will try to absorb as much knowledge as possible from these top drivers. In his statement, Zhou could not hide his excitement at the opportunity to return to Ferrari. "It's a different role than before, but I still see it as a great opportunity to grow and learn from the best team," he said. He hopes his experience with Ferrari will be a stepping stone to a full-time racing seat in the future. With the dynamism at Ferrari, the immense pressure on Lewis Hamilton, and the return of Zhou Guanyu as a reserve driver, the world of Formula One is becoming increasingly interesting to follow. The situation at Ferrari shows that their challenges are not only about performance on the track, but also about team communication and strategy, which must be constantly refined. As one of the most experienced drivers on the grid, Hamilton is still adjusting to his new environment, while Zhou hopes his role at Ferrari can be a stepping stone to a return to the main seat in the future. The spotlight is on Ferrari ahead of the Chinese Grand Prix. Can they withstand the pressure? Hamilton and Verstappen remain the focus, both on track and in team communications. The season is long and full of surprises, with each race potentially a turning point. Can Ferrari return to the top? Can Hamilton find his rhythm? Write in with your thoughts.